Happy Friday, guys, and happy full week one of college football betting action. We are here to break down all kinds of games, give you some picks, and most importantly, you can expect with our guest today, Jeff Dawson, all kinds of team total winners. A little bit of MLB as well. We can't forget about the MLB, and we'll definitely mention the CFL. We'll give an honorable mention to the CFL. As you guys know, I am still betting on that as well. But so many games and a little bit of a crisp feeling in the air where I am here on the east coast of Canada. That's how I know football's back. The air is feeling a little bit colder than it was just last week. Before we get started, guys, that promo code in the top right corner, AM39, will give you 3 days for the price of one for $39. AM39. If you want my plays, you can get 3 days for $39. AM39. But I'm excited to break down some college football games. And remember, guys, as Jeff and I were just talking about how people can get so excited with how big the board is, make sure you are betting responsibly. And hey, if you're betting something, make sure you've researched it. Make sure you're prepared. And we're going to try and get you prepared right now. So we'll bring in the man, the myth, the legend. Jeff, how are you?
You know, I'm doing great. I don't think you could have said it any better. I went outside early evening and it felt like September. I was like, well, there was a crisp in the air. Shut the ACs off, open the windows. Fenway wasn't barking. Life was grand. But betting responsibly. If I could tell all the listeners here, please bookmark this next minute, okay? Because football season, when you go to Vegas, okay, and you see these billion-dollar resorts and sports books and casinos, I am telling you guys for facts. They are built on NFL Sunday. And I know 99.9% of you are going to say, man, I am so glad football's back. I crush it every football year. Well, there's a small percentage of experts, public, that win during the football season. The goal, very simply, is to make it week to week. Let's make it through the end of September. I know a lot of sharp people that have been around the block forever with AOL email accounts that don't even bet the first 1, 2, 3 weeks because they want to gather the data. Okay, so now we're into October. The goal, let's make it to Halloween. And now we get to November. We have just crowned a World Series champ. November 1st, the start of college basketball, which, you know, I can't wait for that, of course. But you're 3.5 weeks away from Thanksgiving. That's the end game because most people don't make it to Thanksgiving, never mind December and the turn of the year. So um, just be careful, that's all.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning, although it's week one. There are so many games moving forward for countless weeks. You guys can get ready to watch these games on your couch or wherever you're watching for many weeks to come. But Jeff, team totals, the name of the game for you. You cashed a first half wager yesterday, though. You do dabble, of course, with the side plays, but the team totals have been kind of your niche for a while now. What can you tell people about the team totals in college football? Because one thing that I've noticed, a lot of times these totals that are so high, they're not getting up and over the full game total. They're getting up and over with the favorites team total. And I'm not saying you can't take the underdogs team total either, but you'll notice a lot of times people aren't relying on the favorite to put points on the board to finish off that total. They're relying on the underdog to do something for their total. So what's the best success? Well, just take the team total of the team you actually believe in. Have you found that? Because I feel like there were even some spots yesterday where some teams were up like 40-0. I saw Kansas, and they were the only team scoring the whole night.
Yeah, team totals in college football, we've had great success in the last couple of years when we kind of pivoted. A market that is not as pick through. You know, everyone wakes up and they see the opening number, they see the closing number. Do you like the favorite? Do you like the underdog? They see the over under. Some people will dabble in first halves, okay? But the fact is, you got to peel that layer back another one or two. Does the team total and does the spread and the over under equal the team total? A lot of go numbers. Michigan last year, great defense. I saw team totals of 6.5. and everyone running to the window. Well, they got to score at least one touchdown. And the final score, they either got shut out or they kicked one or two field goals and it landed on six. Okay. If you see a team total of 21 and a half, you and I talk about that a lot. That's like a go number. People go to the window saying, well, I think they're going to score, but I got 21-0 here, and that's the carrot there. When you're looking at under over team totals, whatever Vegas is giving you as a clue, 21 and a half under, your mind has to be trained. Well, if I'm going to play this, I'm going to take the plus money and go over. If they give you 20 and a half juiced over, they want you to go to the over there because they got to score at least 3 touchdowns. So again, take their carrot. If they're giving you the money sign and the juiced under, your eyes need to go to the over. If they're giving you the 13 and a half juiced over, they want you to go to the over. Okay, so again, try to start rewiring the brain. Start this weekend. You can just make some mental notes and write some games down that you like, write some team totals that you like. You don't have to play them, just start charting them and keeping track of them.
Great stuff there, especially about the plus money and kind of. I feel like the books are inviting us to do stuff sometimes, and I don't like to say that stuff because, there's so many cliches out there, but it's true. You want to be really cognizant and aware of some of these numbers, and like you mentioned, the 13 and a half I think is the perfect one to mention, Jeff, because that's 2 times 7. This team's going to get to 14, and what do they land on? 13, or some weird number as well, and all of a sudden it goes down. So the plus money is really important, and this applies to any number, right? Or not any number, but any point spread, right? And the thing is, you're kind of eliminating that point spread and just worrying about one team. Do you find that I want to touch on a couple of the bigger games with you before we get into any other sports, but do you find that with some of the, I guess we'll say, lesser known schools, you can capitalize more on team totals, or it's actually more sometimes the bigger matchups when everybody's worried about picking a side that you can capitalize on team totals?
I like to say football is like this, Andrew. It's the only sport other than the game of the years that these big casinos and sports books put out in June and July. Take Texas A&M and Notre Dame this week. Take Georgia, Clemson. Everyone on social media is giving out a side. And for the books, if I got $1 million on Clemson and I got $1 million on Georgia, I don't care who wins because of the 10-cent juice. I just made $100,000. I don't care. Okay, so what you want to do, why I've gone to team totals a lot, is it's the less picked market. So as we're watching kickoff on Sunday mornings, Jeff Benson at the Circa has his list of 25, 50 people that he opens up the college football lines to. And here's what our numbers are. Go at them. And they can go in on the app and they can hit them up for 1,000 or 2,000. So they give them 15, 20 minutes to pluck away at it. So if Jeff Benson had a pick 'em on Texas A&M and Notre Dame, and 19 of his 21st sharps are on Texas A&M, well, they're going to release 2.5 minus Texas A&M. But now let's get to the NFL. Those numbers come out Sunday night or Monday. You have a full week to pick through them. So my little story very simply is this. Go to your local landfill or dump, get a 20-pound turkey, and place it in the dump on Monday morning at 10 a.m. At 12:30 on Sunday, when we got a half hour before kickoff, go back and look at that turkey. It's going to be a carcass. It's just going to be all skin and bones. That's what the NFL numbers are. They've been picked through for 6.5, 7 days. And so you're getting the sharpest of sharp numbers. So again, you have to be creative. I know everyone wants Georgia or Clemson. I know everyone wants a piece of Texas A&M or Notre Dame, Miami or Florida here. Those games, I call them a popcorn and pom-pom games. Let someone else sweat them out because we got bigger fish to fry.
Temple, Oklahoma, TCU, Stanford, Western Michigan, Wisconsin, FAU, Michigan State, And of course, Michigan State, that's the team where the quarterback saying, bet the over. We don't know if he was talking about their team total. We don't know if he's talking about full game. We don't know if he's talking about the season over. Any bets you can give out for tonight, Friday night here?
Well, again, I'll go right to Temple, Oklahoma. Team total opened up for Oklahoma 50 and a hook. Now 52 and a half juiced under minus 135. Favored by 39 and a half. Now 42 at circa with a 57. Temple, 7.5. This is a perfect example. 7.5 juiced under minus 125. The only play I can give anyone here on that game would be Temple team total over 7.5 plus 105, because people are going to go to that game and say, well, obviously Oklahoma's going to put up a bazillion points. We know that. But their defense is good and Temple's offense is awful. So I got them 7 or less. It wasn't 6.5 juiced over. They're giving you the carrot 7.5 juiced under, where my eyes automatically flock to Temple team total over 7.5 plus 105.
I like it. And would you say that's kind of the respect? It's more respect given to them than people might think. And you're saying, with that plus money there, I'm not taking the under. I like that number because you've taught me a lot about that, trusting where that number is set. If it was a little bit lower, maybe not, but at 7.5, might as well follow that plus money and not just try and go against the grain. I think with the and you always say this as well, Jeff, and people out there. It's important to mention when you lose a bet on a plus money bet, you're not losing 1.1 units or 1.2 units. You're losing 1 unit. And that really adds up when you've got a guy that's going, 5-5 on Saturday with all his college football wagers. Well, if you go 5-5, but all your bets are plus 105, guess what? You did all right. You did okay today. And that's the big difference. Would you say that that's kind of the reason is like you're trusting that number? Because you've always mentioned that to me.
Yeah, we try to turn a big favorite. How do we talk about baseball. How do you get a minus 175 where we like the pitching matchup? We like the team today. How do we get that into plus money or as close to, not that we don't play minus 110s, 115s, but my point is it a first 5 minus the hook at plus 100 or minus 105? Is it their team total? Because if you go to the window, excuse me, betting minus 150s, 155s, 175s, I will guarantee you this. You'll be playing those $5 parlay cards by the third week in September, most likely. So again, on the Temple, they didn't give us 6.5 juiced over, did they? They gave you 7.5 juiced under. Now it could land on 7 and egg on our face here, but again, they're giving you the 7.5 for a carrot. I'll move on to, here's a good one right here. Wisconsin, Western Michigan. Western Michigan, 1 spot, team total over 15.5, minus 125. Heritage, 16.5, juiced under, minus 125. Again, are they going to get to that magical number of 17? Michigan State is 28.5, juiced over, minus 120. Florida Atlantic, 16.5, juiced under, minus 125. Paul Stone, who we had on our ECSI network yesterday, likes the under in that game. So if the Michigan State quarterback was talking about bet the over, well, a very well respected man by the name of Mr. Paul Stone at Paul Stone Sports likes the under in that game for whatever it's worth.
And I don't trust athletes and their betting predictions, even if they play on the team. We saw Des Bryant. He's off to a great start with his betting career, taking Colorado minus 11 last night. So be careful who you're trusting. Because someone played a sport does not necessarily mean that they know what they're talking about. But I will say that does seem to me like it's one of those examples, Jeff. I know it's not plus money, but that does seem to be one of those examples to me where if the total goes over, it's because of one team. Probably, right? And so, if you look at some of these matchups this weekend, there's going to be so many people that lose on a full game over. And what do I always say in the CFL, especially? It takes 2 to tango. a lot of these blowouts in the CFL this year for us in the summer, if a team was winning, 25-10, some weird sport, 27-13, that game is going to fizzle out. That game's going to die. You need two teams trading points, two teams to contribute to the scoreboard. It's hard sometimes when you have just one team. And at the end of the day, you also have the coaches to handicap as well. How many coaches are the types of coaches that like to run the score up on their opponent? That's something to watch. College football, you notice it a lot more, of course. It's important points for building the confidence. And, I mean, look behind you. I mean, how big the pro and college football stadiums are. They want to make these crowds the cheer for the entire game. But I feel like that's important as well, is to realize, hey, if this team is up 40 points, are they going to continue to push that pace? I'm not so sure. So as far as the big games on Saturday, Jeff, I know you mentioned, hey, we don't have to make plays on them, but I also feel like those could be the best games to utilize the team totals and not just utilize the point spreads. Anything as far as those big games?
I'm going to go back to what you said. Someone brought up a great point. There's not four teams just making the tournament this year in football. There's 12. So a very well respected person that comes on to our show regularly talked about maybe, just maybe, the style points will not come into play this year. Hey, we're up 40, as you said. We don't need to step on their throat. We're already going to be in the dance, and we don't want to see our guys get hurt. They might be pulling the plug late in the third, early in the fourth there. And the other reason we do what we do is it's like a six-legged parlay, or we're trying to take variables out. So as you and I have talked about during hockey season, during CFL, now we're talking college football. If you can take one side or one variable out of play and say, hey, the under over is 59 and the spread's only 2.5, therefore you're going to need the two to take the tango here to dance to get that over. But I really love this Alabama side there. Therefore, in case it doesn't take two to tango this week, in case the other side is not playing up to par and it's Alabama playing great defense and offense, hey, just get to 36.5, and I'm turning over to the next game because we've already cashed that ticket, and I don't have to sweat the last second score by some team. What was it last night? Kansas. Instead of taking the knee, they scored and they didn't kick the extra point, and a fiasco.
And to touch on everybody, the ESPN, they couldn't stop talking about Colorado. If you had North Dakota State team total, you cashed that with the last touchdown, but you also didn't have to worry about any more spread drama. I mean, that is one thing too about those team totals, is that there's only a back door that's going to benefit you. There's not a back door that's going to hurt you with the team totals, which is always nice. A team scoring late in the game is not going to hurt or damage your bet. It's usually going to benefit you. But Jeff, I will say, I'm not a huge college football guy, but I'll do my research. I'll put a couple bets in, and if I'm playing that Georgia game, I'm only taking the dog. Everything I've read, I'm interested in the underdog in that game.
I'm trying to pull up some numbers as we speak here. Give me 1 second. Hopefully, we can get. Okay, so we're gonna move on over here. Nope. Give me 1 second, Andrew. Game spreads. Let me go here. Football. That game hasn't gotten to 14, because if it gets to 14, the whole world, the sharps will be pounding Clemson. So it's kind of cute and unique here how they've stuck that at 13, 13.5. There, that is definitely one of those games to keep an eye on. I'm trying to see if we have an updated number here.
I love that too, Jeff. That's something to notice when they don't move the number. It's always interesting to see that when the number stays the same. and it's not bouncing around too much, it gives you information as well.
Yeah, and I can tell you the Circa, who we respect as the Mecca, they are not one of the copy and paste teams. Pinnacle, Chris, the originators, the same as Circa here in the States, opened a number of 13 and a half. I can tell you this, at the Circa, they are taking Clemson money as we speak. They are down to 11 and a half right now. They are flat 12s or 12 and a half at South Point. Bet Online has now gone to 11 and a half as well. So if
Wow.
you're looking, if you do like Clemson, you might want to shop around there. There is some money coming in. And I want to say this to the newbies here. Thursday night, Friday night, Thursday night, I call it the Texas oil money will come in to Vegas and they will drop their bags of money on certain sides. So when you see wake up Friday morning, you see some big moves. That's the Texas oil money coming in. Friday night, it's the California gold coming in, and they're coming for the weekends to Vegas. So when you wake up Saturday morning, and you see a big move. That's the California groups that are coming in. And here is the golden rule. If you guys, like everyone else, get up in the morning to put on game day, to watch Curb Street, to watch McAfee, do not, I repeat, do not follow the steam in those plays. I will sit here and watch my numbers light up like a Christmas tree because Kirk Curb Street just took a side and it went from +3 to +1.5, or vice versa. McAfee just took Ole Miss -9.5, now it's -11.5. And I'm not saying they're on the wrong side. I just don't follow the steam because you're going to get burnt more often than not.
I'd say it's always best to lock in your bets before you turn those shows on. And that's how I feel about CFL. My girlfriend always laughs that if I'm watching a CFL preview, it's when I already have all my bets decided for the week. I don't want these guys skewing how I feel about anything, any team, any coach. And that's not to say that we can't learn something from those guys. We're not saying that. We can learn about football from those guys. We're not on there. We're not watching to learn about betting from those guys. And that's a big difference people have to understand because you hear some people break down, and I'm a big believer it's important to break down the market and, of course, the matchups and, talk about players and stuff like that sometimes. But if you hear some people breaking down a bet they like and they don't mention the line once, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. If someone's breaking down why they like a team to cover the point spread and they don't mention what the actual point spread is, that's kind of a red flag there. So, anything else for Saturday, Jeff? And then we'll move on to CFL.
I'm just gonna throw out some stuff here. What my eye sees, who we've had on our shows this week, some leans and stuff. There's been a big move on Penn State and West Virginia, an opening number of 10, now down to 7.5. The world is on West Virginia, high noon, stop in traffic, blah blah blah. Again, I would prefer, as our good friend and colleague Mr. Murray from the Westgate said, he being a West Virginia alum there, he would prefer that to be a 7 or 8 o'clock night game to get the kids all lathered up and stuff. So again, the big move is on West Virginia. Just buyer beware on that one there. Um, Ron from Ron A Sports and Paul Stone both leaned, and this is a stinky one. New Mexico +31.5 against Arizona. New coach, new system, lost a lot of players, a lot of points to be given to the Lobos there from New Mexico. You talked Miami and Florida. Again, I have the U going far this year. I think they're locked and loaded on both sides. Little coaching with Cristobal gets you a little nervous there. I'd respect Miami 3.5, 4. I don't. I'm real leery of the 2.5. Now they get a walk-off 3. Everyone's happy. Like last night, Minnesota, North Carolina. North Carolina opened -1. I'm sorry, Minnesota opened -1. North Carolina closed -2. Well, the books were spot on. The kicker missed the walk-off field goal to end the game, which would have had Minnesota winning by 1. So maybe this game does land right on 2 there. I lean Florida. It reminds me of 2 years ago, Utah coming into Florida. 2.5 point favorites. Had a chance to win the game late and didn't. So keeping my eyes on that one there. One of the dogs of the day, UNLV at Houston. Good year for UNLV last year. A lot of buzz for the Rebels this year. They traveled to Houston, which is not the Houston of old. If you can get a 3, I'd really like a UNLV +3, but as our good friend Kelly in Vegas says, always sprinkle a little beer and pizza money on the outright winner there. I think UNLV can steal the show there. And I'm against the grain here on this one. Nevada, everyone's darling last week as they rolled and they shocked the world against SMU. Well, they played a great game against SMU. Let's be honest there. Troy opened up 15.5, now a flat 9. I think Troy, even though it's their first game, Nevada's got one under the belt. I think Troy minus the 9 gets it done there. And last but not least, you got a little peekaboo here. Fresno State at Michigan. We know Coach Harbaugh is gone. We know already some talks of the cheating scandal resurfacing. Michigan, huge game next week. I think they're going to be peeking ahead. So if you can get Fresno State +21.5, hold the nose real good. Go and run to the window and grab Fresno State.
Awesome. A lot of picks. Hopefully you guys all had your notepads out. Shout out to George, wherever he is, the notepad and the pen. Hopefully you had that out, writing down those picks. So thanks to Jeff for giving us those. I'm going to be watching this show back just to make sure I can lock in some of those picks. But I always do get the picks from Jeff right to my email, and you guys can too if you sign up with him at the website East Coast Sports Investors. Make sure you're following him on X at EC Sports Invest. Jeff, there was one team total I wanted to mention in the CFL, and that was the Elks. And I think this Elks team is in for a good week. I like them this week. They're playing against the Calgary Stampeders. Stampeders are off the bye. Should be feeling pretty fresh. Still a defense that I don't really trust. And this is something I feel like you can appreciate because you've got Calgary 26.5 to the over and Edmonton 24.5 to the under. We're going to get some plus money on Edmonton over 24.5. And this is a team that you and I have seen countless times. We don't want to worry about what they do defensively. We don't want to worry about the last few minutes of the game. We will just worry about them getting over 24.5 points. That's a team total I like quite a bit. Of course, with me saying that, you guys know I do like the point spread as well. But that's one thing I wanted to throw out there. Is there anything else before we wrap things up that you want to throw out in MLB or CFL or anything before we call it a day?
I love where your eyes are, by the way. 24.5. We were talking all show about that. It wasn't 23.5, and of course they're going to score 24 or more. It's the 24.5, which means most people will run to that under and they'll spend the 25 cents on it because I got 0 to 24. Hey, we know Calgary. They're one of those. Are you going to let them hang around, play a lot of, excuse my French here, grab-ass football, allow you to go back and forth and kick field goals. Edmonton's offense has been cranked up the last month. I love where your eyes are. I definitely love that team total over 24.5. And I'll give out, let's go to MLB here, and let's see what we got in the team total slots here that jump out at me here. Cincinnati, over 4.5. Plus 110 would have been a go number. Cy Ray, I call him, from Milwaukee, has killed me all year, so I'm staying off of that one right there. They are playing a doubleheader as well, so I definitely going to back off there. Let's see. Let's give one for the road here in bases. Let's see here. All right. This one will be a tough one for most here, but we're going to run with it anyways. We're going against your Jays here. Gosman versus Lopez, Minnesota and Toronto. Minnesota team total over 4.5, and I get them at plus 120. For the game itself, Minnesota is minus 150, opened now 163. We have a 8 under over at the Circa. I think this game's got 5-3 written all over it. So I'm not going to lay the 150, the 160. I'm going to get the plus money of 120, and I just need Minnesota to get to 5 or better, turn the game on, and watch some football.
I love it. I love that one. And you know what? If I can make money fading my Jays, at least I'm making money doing it. That's the way I look at it. If they're going to let me down, at least we can make some money against them. However, they decided to play some decent baseball with the young guys for a couple weeks, but we'll see how long that can last. Jeff, what's going on for you guys the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend here?
12:45 in about 20 minutes. Sean Alvarez will be on from Wager Talk talking Del Mar and the Pacific Classic. 3 o'clock, the NCAA Insiders, Matt Chris and Quentin Mills will be here talking some college football. And then at 4:30, the closing bell is we're going to go over the whole market, me and Riley Magnuson. If you're interested in a journey, in a marathon, and you're not worried about the day-to-day sweats, and you just want information sent to your cell phone via text and email, and if you can afford $3 a day, go hit us up at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Top right corner, plans and pricing. Go all the way down. Don't sign up for the $375 a month. We're giving you our ECSI gym membership, our welcome to the family. Any questions, go on to Twitter or X at EC Sports Invest. Follow me, I'll follow you back. Any questions, you can DM me back and forth. Would love to have the more the merrier. We got hundreds that have been with us for 9.5 years, and we hope will be thousands of you with us for another 9.5 years.
Can't wait. Can't wait for the weekend. I appreciate Jeff, as always, ending the week with me here on Friday. We start the week, we end the week together, and hey, in the future, we might be having every day together with some type of show, talking picks, talking previews, talking recaps. So stay tuned for that, guys. If you stayed until the end, we really do appreciate that. Hit the like button on YouTube or repost on X if that's okay with you. All right, promo code AM39, $39 for 3 days of all sports. It's the same price as 1 day. And guys, $25 is the price for one best bet. $39 will get you 3 days of all my favorite plays. If I do not release a play in 1 day, past 2 days is a good example, I will hit the pass button and your guys' service will be updated and you'll be granted an extra day in your package. So thanks so much, guys, for being here with us. We'll see you next time right here on the McInnis Pick Show.